Greetings, fellow audiophiles of the YouTube frontier. Kid 1960 here with a system update video. This one centered on my recently added Bob Carver Crimson 350 monoblock amplifiers. Tube amplifiers, my first all-tube component that I've ever owned. Now I had posted a video several months back when I first got the amps, but then I took it back down because I wanted to live with the amps a bit longer and give them a chance to really break in. This turned out to be the right move because the sound of the amps did change for the better. But first, a little backstory. What set me on a search for a new amplification was the ongoing drama with my Hegel H30 power amp. Great sounding power amp, but to be blunt, it's been unreliable. That amp spent most of last year and part of the beginning of this year at the repair facility in Los Angeles. And just when they thought they'd figured it out and gotten it fixed, I get it back home and it's here a week and the right channel starts cutting out again. So a little fair warning to those of you who are looking at Hegel, and particularly that H30 amp, there is problems there. Reliability problems stemming from the factory. There's something going on with the circuit boards. Right now that amp is in my bedroom, sitting in the corner collecting dust. That's a pretty expensive boat anchor. So just a heads up. Anyway, with that drama set aside, I set about looking for new amps. And originally, I was thinking of the Parasound JC1 Plus monoblocks. But then the Bob Carver tube amps came into my view, and I'd never had tube amps before. And Bob Carver, of course, is legendary. And I hem and hawed back and forth, trying to make up my mind. And then part of the thing that tipped me towards the Bob Carver was the cheaper price. I mean, there was a big price difference. And I was just curiosity, too. Just curiosity got me leaning this way. So I bought the amps. I ordered them back in April, late March, early April. And I got them at the end of April, beginning of May. And hooked them up. And out of the box, you know, Bob Carver, the folks at Bob Carver, they do run the amps before they ship them off. They do start the break-in process, but they need a bit more braking than what you're going to get from the factory. Anyway, I've put about 150 hours on them now, and it's been a little over 3 months that I've had them. And the sound evened out. At first, they were a little forward, the presence region, and the treble was a little more pronounced than it is now. But the one thing I noticed right off the bat with that treble is just how pure it is. And my other amps, my Hegel and my Proceed HPA2, they're no slouches in any regard, but the treble purity I was getting with these two monoblocks was a whole different ballgame. That's the first thing I noticed. And as I lived with these amps, the other thing I noticed that they're very good at is soundstage layering and resolution within the soundstage. Yeah, that's my dog Callie you're hearing in the background. Again, the Hegel in particular is a very good sound staging amplifier, particularly from the width perspective. But it also does depth well when it's working. But these Bob Carver tube amps are a whole different ballgame. The layering and the substance to the soundstage, if that makes any sense. Both the depth and the width. And the other thing I liked about these amps is just the mid-range in general. Vocalists sound great through these amps, but not just vocalists. Yesterday I was listening to Joe Satriani, Strange Beautiful Music, the SACD. I've had that disc since it came out. It had never sounded like that before. It just had an organic quality to it that I hadn't heard before. And again, the intricacies in the mix, the layering, these Bob Carvers uncovered all of that in a natural way. I was sitting here with a smile on my face, smiling like an idiot. It was just wonderful. And finally, yeah, still with the mid-range. Also, the vocalists, getting back to the vocalists, I had Nat King Cole on here, the After Midnight SACD, mastered by Steve Hoffman. The baritone purr of that guy, it was like the man was standing, corporeal, like, in between and slightly back from the speakers. It was just wonderful. And the same goes with female vocalists. Patricia Barber, Nora Jones, KT Tunstall, Joni Mitchell. They just sound much more lifelike. There's a spark to the whole presentation. I get now why tube aficionados like tube amps. I get it now. I'm hearing that with this system. However, getting back to when I was first looking at amps, the thing that had me a little worried about going with tube amps was their ability to drive the Magico Q3s in the bass. The Magicos drop below 3 ohms between 60 and 70 hertz, right in the mid bass. And my two transistor amps have no problem there. The Hagel and the Proceed are both monsters as far as driving the bottom end goes. And I'm sure those Parasound JC1 monoblocks should have no problem either. But that was the one worry I had with these Bob Carver amps. Due to their output impedance and just due to the nature to that and them not being transistor monster, 250 watt, 350 watt transistor amps. Having said that, I'm using the 4 ohm tap on the back of these tube amps, and that's 400 watts going into the Magicos per side. And I am pleasantly surprised at just how well they handle the bass on these Magicos. I'm not hearing any anomalies down there right in the mid bass. If there's a heavy kick, that heavy kick comes through. I put on Tool Fear Inoculum. There's some air moving in this room. Now, maybe in direct comparison with the Hagel and the Proceed, the Bob Carvers would come up slightly less visceralness, if I want to put that correct. And that would probably be the most accurate way to put it. But I mean, it's so slight, it's not even worth mentioning, because with everything else that these amps do so well and better than my 2 transistor amps, there's nothing to complain about. Like I had the Joe Satriani going, there's some decent bass on that, and I had no problem hearing it, had no problem feeling it. So yeah, that has turned out to not be such a big deal. So yeah, to bring this all to a head, I'm really liking these amps. That was a good purchase. What you're getting for the $99.95 list price, a 10-year warranty on the amps and the tubes. I mean, man, you can't beat that, And for any of you out there who've never done tube amps before and who are thinking of trying them out, I highly recommend these. Yeah, I don't know what else to say, so I'm gonna get up off my butt and walk up close, and we'll do a close-up here. Left amplifier. I run these at 120 milliamps. I think the standard setting is 100, or the suggested setting, but you can go higher if you want. I went to 120. That seemed to give me a bit more control in the bottom end. And honestly, these are freaking cool amps. They're just very cool looking amps. Tube amps in general are just cool looking. My transistor amps, for all they got going for them, they're very boring looking. So yeah. And I had no problem setting these up, getting the tubes installed. And I'm a tube newbie. Just a heads up for those of you who are in my boat, in my shoes, who are thinking of going the tube amp route. One word of caution: when you hook up tube amps, the last thing you plug in is the power cord. You do not want to be turning on a tube amp without it being hooked up to a load, i.e. the speakers. If you power them up and they're not hooked to a load, you can blow the amp. Just a friendly word of warning. But otherwise, I had no problem getting these set up. They only weigh about 45 pounds each, which was nice compared to the 80-plus pound Proceed and the 100-pound Hagel. The only thing that hurt my back was me sitting on this bamboo floor while I was installing the tubes. The rest of the system is pretty much the same. I've daisy-chained the synergistic research with the Taurus isolation transformer. That's drop the noise, the background noise, a bit more. It made a difference, a slight difference, but it was there. I got that idea from Arnold Martinez of Tweak Studio. So it turned out to be a good advice. I also have still have my Music First Audio Baby reference. The remote control on this doesn't work anymore. Evidently the little motor inside the thing that turns the volume knob is dead. But I don't think I'm going to ship this all the way back to England just to get the remote working again. Parasound JC3 Plus, Esoteric KO1X, Techniques turntable with the Lyra Cleos cartridge, and Shunyata Research cabling. Still have my GIK traps, steel points aperture panels off to the side here, HFTs on the wall, and the FEQ device, and my loyal listening companion, Callie, the audiophile wonder dog, who, believe it or not, the other day while I was listening to Joe Satriani, she was on this couch facing the stereo paying attention. Evidently, she's a Joe Satriani fan. And what were you chewing on there, you little stinker? Don't chew that up. So, that's it. Headline of the story is I'm loving the tube amps. I'm converted. To get a transistor amp to do what these tube amps do, I'd probably have to spend like Dan D'Agostino type of money. So, yeah. Love the amps. I'm happy as a clam. Thanks for watching my video. Thanks for putting up with my stuttering and my nonsense. And you all have a good day. And until next time.